We'll look at how social workers bring love and warmth to COVID-19 patients. Malaysia's volunteers donate medical beds to a hospital facing medical supply shortage. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. As the pandemic situation worsens, more medical workers are fighting the pandemic at the front line. On the patient's end, they actually need a lot of mental and living care, especially due to the pandemic. Many patients are moving to the same hospital, but who's responsible for taking care of them? In Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital, social workers in the hospital set out to purchase daily supplies for the patients. In addition, they bring further care to patients even after they left the hospital. Let's meet these hardworking social workers.
After
hanging up the phone rings again as there are countless phone calls made in a day. In Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital, the social worker's office resonates with the sound of workers helping out patients on the line.
Because these patients have to be quarantined, we cannot talk to them face to face. Therefore, we use technology in order to talk to them.
Caring for patients, applying for emergency aid, and receiving supplies from citizens. These are the tasks for a social worker. The director of social workers in Tzu Chi Hospital, Qian, is very professional as she is diligent in getting things done.
Taiwan's people are very supportive of medical workers. Every day, many people come over with supplies to donate to the hospital.
The director said, since the pandemic started, everyone's workload increased by 50%. At the time, dedicated wards were in place to fight the virus, as social workers take on 10 cases per person. As a leader, Qian works very hard.
To social workers, we put 50% of our effort to the dedicated wards, because the patient's needs are different from what our job demands us to do.
On the other side of the phone call, the patient can only recall familiar sounds of social workers, yet this warmth is enough to heal a person. The COVID-19 virus has often led to negative phone calls, but social workers are trained to have a strong heart.
We support each other, and since we are in this field, we are stronger in terms of mentality compared to normal people.
Some patients enter the hospital in a rush, often forgetting to bring their personal belongings. Yang Zhiqiao often purchases items for patients. Though this task isn't in her job description, she still insists on doing so.
During the process of living in a hospital, if there are any situations, please tell the workers at the door to call the social workers. Then we will help you out.
After a busy morning, in the afternoon, she has to meet with a recovered patient. In the past, they talked on the phone, thus the meeting went smoothly through the recognition of sound. Now Mr. Zhu is energetic and healthy. Actually, on May 29th, he had poor oxygen saturation. As it keeps on dropping, he was quickly moved to Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital. Because I know I have immune system issues, so I felt that I could not win against the virus. I thought, I'm done for, and then I cried. During hospitalization, nasal catheters were used to keep Mr. Zhu away from the process of intubation. After 20 days, Mr. Zhu dropped 9 kilograms of body weight. The doctor told me not to undergo intubation, as he will treat me. He also told me that the treatment process is painful and I must endure it. During the 3 days of battling against death, Mr. Zhu lost his sense of taste, heavily affected by the virus. With the help of social workers, he understood that a person out there is always caring for him. If we need anything, they will bring it to us as long as it fits the hospital's rules. As medical workers treat the patient's body, social workers heal the heart of patients, bring warmth to patients while they are facing the deadly virus.
In Taiwan, as there has been infection among family members, some infants have been infected with COVID-19. A Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital nurse who has learned that an infant is about to be hospitalized has prepared the child's bed. In addition, she has made cute cards and pictures, which will make the infant feel secure. The nurse's effort to care for the baby has warmed up the cold hospital ward. Let's take a look.
The nurse is making space in the ward to allow a family of 3 who have been diagnosed with COVID-19 to stay here. There are 2 large beds and a child's bed, as one of them is a 6-month-old baby.
I'm worried
that adult's bed with the space between the rails is not safe, so I look for baby's bed. I'm also afraid that the bed railings are too hard, so I want to use blankets. This way, when the baby falls out, there's protection.
Nurse Huang Yi's child just turned 1 year old, so she can relate to the parents. Besides providing baby bed, she has printed out all kinds of cute pictures and pasted them near the bed, so the baby can feel secure.
I was worried that the baby would be afraid, so I gave him some cute things and stimulate him. We use what we have and quickly provide them to the baby. After becoming a mother, I feel for the babies, so I want to give them love.
With the nurse's mindfulness and care, the cold hospital ward can become warm and loving.
Also in Taiwan, the medical team at Tzu Chi Hospital's Child Protective Center has made protective covers. These covers can protect infants from contracting the virus through droplets. Compared to head covers on the market, the protective covers they made is more convenient to use. Let's take a look at how the medical team has invented the protective covers.
During the pandemic period, parents are worried about the possibility of their newborns contracting the virus. At Tzu Chi Medical Center's Child Protective Center, the medical team has bought materials from stationery shop to make protective covers.
We place it on the baby bed to protect infants from infection through droplets in air.
Head nurse Zhang Ruiyun has led the medical team to make protective covers. Zhang, who likes children, has been working at Tzu Chi Medical Center's Child Protective Center for 30 years. She has graduated from Tzu Chi University of Science and Technology. In the beginning, they tried using oxygen covers, which were difficult to move. Then they came up with the low-cost protective covers.
Later, we thought of placing food wrap on baby bed. Food wrap is softer and hard to shape. When I went home at night, I kept thinking about how to help children so they will not get infected. This way, the mothers can feel at ease.
To make light protective covers, the medical team uses the weight of plastic table covers and clips so that the protective covers will not fly away.
The ones on the market is a head cover that needs to be tied to their foreheads. However, when using that type of head cover, we might disturb the children. So later we came up with this protective cover. It can be placed on baby beds and will not disturb the babies, which is quite convenient.
As newborns are the hope of our society, great care is required in caring for them. The medical team has invented the protective cover to safeguard the baby's health.
In Taiwan, a COVID-positive pregnant woman experienced high fevers and coughs around the 34th week of pregnancy. After going to Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital, the medical team decided that in order to protect the mother's situation and the baby's well-being, C-section is to be performed. Fortunately, a healthy baby came to the world. After the mother healed, she's grateful to the medical team at Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital. Let's take a look. At Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital, a pregnant woman was tested above the cycle threshold of 30, as she's allowed to exit the quarantine phase.
婴儿的加护病房里面，他们为大家做的这个有宝宝的照片啊，感人哦。对，这是证严法师送你的祝福的信。
After knowing that the mother is departing from the hospital, Master Zheng Yin and the medical team prepared gifts of blessings.
COVID-19 疫情的时候呢，孕妇
During the pandemic, pregnant women undergo higher risk, especially with lung infections. We must save the mother and son, and today we are glad to welcome a happy ending.
今天终于就是很欢喜的一个 happy ending.
Explaining the worst situation before the surgery, the medical team expresses that if anything goes wrong, the child must be saved first. After discussion, the family members decided to go with C-section.
We have to keep both, but my wife insists on delivering the child first. So after discussing with my family, we decided to go with C-section.
Under the effort of many, the mother and son made it out safely. But after the C-section, only the mother can stay at the ward, as medical workers try their best to support her.
After I was confirmed positive for COVID-19, I came into Tzu Chi with a professional medical team and experienced nurses. They looked after me like a family, so I feel positive change during my stay here. I had a great time staying in the hospital.
After the pandemic broke out this year, Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital took care of 5 pairs of mothers and baby pairs as everything went smoothly. In the future, medical workers will continue to serve citizens in need. As the pandemic situation worsens in Malaysia, many community hospitals are facing shortage of medical supplies. Therefore, city volunteers donated 40 medical beds and drip stands to Ampang Hospital. They hope to lessen the burdens of medical workers. Let's join them there. In the truck, medical beds and drip stands are fully loaded. During the pandemic, medical equipment is in high demand as Ampang Hospital experienced a lack of medical beds.
We also is hybrid hospital. We run COVID, we run the awaiting results for COVID, and we run our services as well. We have surgical, medical, ONGs, pediatrics. The service run as usual. So they fight each other who can get the beds.
They told us when the 40 beds arrived. It came just in time to help some patients, since they no longer have to sit on chairs or on the floor.
Tzu Chi's aid to the medical frontline allow medical workers to focus on preventing the virus while taking care of patients. In Indonesia, motorcycle taxi drivers are listed as a priority group to receive COVID vaccinations. The Jakarta government collaborated with a company and set up a vaccination station. They allow drivers to stay on their vehicles while receiving vaccination shots. These drivers are very happy that they can be protected against the virus. In Indonesia, a company called Gojek collaborated with Halodoc. Along with the government's assistance, vaccination services are provided to hundreds of thousands of motorcycle taxi drivers as they can remain in their vehicles during the process. In central Jakarta, vaccination services aims at a goal of 1,500 vaccines per day. During the pandemic, motorcycle taxi drivers have become a priority to receive vaccinations. Since these motorcycle taxi drivers serve citizens nationwide, including carrier services, food delivery services, delivering packages, and other economic activities, these drivers are set at the highest priority to receive vaccinations. During the vaccination process, the taxi drivers may stay in their vehicles, keeping everyone at ease while reducing the risk of virus infection.
Jadi dalam program vaksinasi yang dilakukan di Jakarta ini ada puluhan ribu mitra kita yang akan divaksinasi.
The vaccination service that doesn't require taxi drivers to step out of their cars aims to help these taxi drivers.
Keyakinan dan kepercayaan masyarakat terhadap pelayanan yang kami berikan.
We hope that the locals may believe in our services more and to make them feel more comfortable using our service. This also matches the spirit of our country.
Fungsi kami yang menjadi urat nadi logistik nasional, urat nadi transportasi dan juga logistik nasional.
On the day of the event, a Ministry of Transportation's director came to witness the vaccination services. He supports the services that keep the drivers in their vehicles, and he hopes to achieve herd immunity in Jakarta as soon as possible.
Proses kolaborasi pelaksanaan vaksin hari ini kami memberikan apresiasi kepada Gojek.
The vaccination plan aims to help the public transportation workers, including motorcycle taxi drivers.
Yang sudah ditetapkan dalam pelaksanaan vaksinasi khususnya di pekerja transportasi. Tadi saya sudah sampaikan target kami.
The second stage aims to help 250,000 and 6,000 public transportation workers, also including 40,000 motorcycle taxi drivers. We hope to increase the speed of vaccinations in the future.
Dengan tambahan sekitar 40.000 yang saat ini dilaksanakan oleh Gojek, ini lebih mempercepat pelaksanaannya nanti.
After receiving vaccinations, motorcycle taxi drivers will be protected to a certain degree. Since most of them contact passengers on a daily basis, the risk of infection remains high.
Wah, sangat penting banget. Karena apa? Buat imunitas kita dan buat kemajuan.
It's important to me. Why? Because it helps me strengthen my immune system. It also helps our country to fight the pandemic. To us, since we are on the road every day, we have to come into contact with many people. At least the vaccinations help us with our immune system.
Atau negatif gitu. Jadi supaya imunitas kita lebih kuat aja, Bu.
After receiving the vaccinations, the motorcycle taxi drivers will have to stay for another 15 minutes before leaving. What comes after is a vaccination certificate and a notification on the second date for the vaccination. The service that allows drivers to remain in their vehicles during vaccination is convenient and beneficial, as it prevents further infections at the scene. In Indonesia, a Tzu Chi care recipient named Melia has been suffering from cerebrovascular disease. She needed to undergo surgery, but her poor family cannot afford the heavy medical expenses. Fortunately, her company and Tzu Chi have helped her with medical expenses. Melia and her husband are grateful to Tzu Chi, and they have the faith to overcome life's challenges. During Melia's talk, there's laughter and no complaints. It's hard to tell that Melia is being tormented by illness.
My left fingers are numb and stiff. In the beginning, they felt numb, and later the situation worsened.
Melia has been diagnosed with cerebrovascular disease. Her company and Tzu Chi have helped her with the heavy medical expenses. Her husband has stayed by her side, taking care of her.
I'm grateful that Allah has given me the chance to care for my wife. Not everyone gets such chances.
After undergoing a surgery, Melia's health has been recovering. This family has faced difficulties with gratitude.
I try to stay optimistic and positive. I believe that Allah will not give us challenges that are beyond our abilities. Everything comes for a reason and arrangement.
Very few people get this kind of disease. However, they have treated. The challenge is an opportunity to give of themselves. I really respect them.
With faith, the family stays harmonious and will face the difficulties with courage and strength. Many parents have thought about the education possibilities of their children. They have the choice to enroll in a traditional school where grades are most important. However, they could also go to an experimental school where they have the ability to learn freely. Actually, between these two schools of education, there's not one right answer, only what educational system fits best for each child. This is why each school of education breeds excellent students. In today's series on My Different Kind of School, we look at the lives of experimental school alumni.
Xinshan Seedling Experimental Elementary School, surrounded by mountains and beautiful scenery in New Taipei City's Wulai District, was established officially in 1994, 20 years earlier than when the current Domestic III-type Act of Experimental Education went into effect.
27 years ago, some Taiwanese people began to want a different kind of education for their children. Xinshan Seedling Experimental Elementary grew out of that. A group of parents came together to educate their children, but then regulations were not very mature. We applied as a private experimental school, so that's how we were approved by New Taipei City.
Hello.
This pioneer in experimental education has seen 27 years of graduates. On this day, Huang Yuehan, a graduate from the 18th year, returns to his alma mater.
数学啊，然后导师班的。
Current principal Zheng Wanru was previously a homeroom teacher and inspired Huang's love of math. After majoring in applied mathematics at National Yangming Jiaotong University, Huang went on to Minerva School at KGI in the United States to study information engineering.
In elementary school, I learned how to study independently and be responsible for myself, as well as how to have fun while learning.
No matter how hard Yuehan studies, he doesn't forget to have fun at the same time. He knows the value of working hard and playing harder. He has learned a lot through play as well. I feel like he's pretty good at balancing that.
Knowing when to study and when to have fun, Huang's path to education had endless fun times.
When the graduates return to their alma mater, they can easily interact with the current students who they don't know beforehand. Their ability to instantly bond with each other is something I treasure about this school.
They're adorable. They have the same energy I had when I was young, but now as a college student, I can't keep up.
So the PageRank algorithm needs to give weights to new websites so that I can also appear on the search result.
When COVID-19 broke out, Huang returned to Taiwan and began remote learning.
With the internet, there are lots of resources out there, and people realize that you don't need to be good at studying to do something amazing, but instead, it's about doing something you are interested in to be able to take it further.
In 2014, when Taiwan's Experimental Education Type 3 Act was passed, experimental schools of the elementary, junior high, senior high began to emerge rapidly. As of 2020, there are 104 experimental schools with nearly 11,300 pupils, which is 2.6% that of traditional schools.
In our promotion of experimental education, we hope it's a stable forward-moving force. When they look to remove certain elements of the curriculum or regulations, it still needs to be approved by the ministry. It's a very formal process still, not something they can just suddenly start doing.
With the decrease in fertility domestically, schools have faced closure, and more students are looking for something other than traditional education.
Nowadays, everyone who looks through college introductions isn't looking for what major I'm interested in or what am I good at, but they are looking at what potential industry I can make money in. After the foundation education was complete, I began to look into which fields I was interested in to continue learning.
Graduating elementary school 20 years ago, Liu Yunqi has returned to her alma mater. She has experienced so much in life, but her smile remains the same as her youth, sparkling with confidence.
Elementary level, I attend Seedling Experimental School, which helped me to figure myself out, and I saw what I was good at.
There are some internal elements which were nurtured when she was younger that attract students to her as a teacher.
Non-traditional education is just like outdoor survival skills, helping to nurture the students' independence, where they can learn according to their interests and not fear their life's journey.
The third Sunday in June marks Father's Day in Malaysia. Johor Tzu Chi Kindergarten has held an online Father's Day celebration. Children cooked food for their fathers and presented them self-made cards. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.